That is exactly what is going on right now if people are looking up to the CCP. Crazy. So anyway, my point here is that there is one country that we should be looking up to during this whole thing. And if we're going to use one country as an example, it should be this one. This country is democratic. It has freedom of speech, freedom of internet. People are allowed to criticize the government. People are allowed to talk about whatever they want to.
Hey there guys, and welcome to YGZ Taiwan. Now recently, I've been seeing a lot of disturbing posts on social media where people have been suggesting that the Chinese Communist Party's authoritarian style of government is a lot more desirable than a democratic style of government. And I think this is absolutely batshit insane. So that's what I want to talk about in today's video. But first, let's get on the streets of Taiwan so we can discuss this a little bit more. Let's go.
Hey, it's my friend. 是我的好朋友习近平，乔宋维尼。你好。So what is going on where people are turning their back on democracy and looking towards this crazy authoritarian dictatorship as an example of how a country and government should be? It's crazy. Well, I think it comes from fear. Because of this whole coronavirus pandemic, you know, people have really lost faith in their government. Because let's face it, the whole thing has been a complete mess, you know. Millions of people have died, lots of people have suffered, entire countries have been locked down, and just so many new rules coming into place. The whole thing has just worldwide has been a mess. But why on earth are we looking towards an authoritarian dictatorship? Well, we do some pretty stupid things when we're afraid, right? And this really is one of the more stupid things that I've heard, you know, because let's not forget that it was this weird authoritarian government that covered up the initial outbreak of this whole virus, right? They covered it up. They just pretended that nothing was happening for about a month. They silenced that whistleblower, the Dr. Lee, whatever his name is. They silenced him. They didn't allow him to spread the message of this crazy new virus that he discovered that was going around his hospital in Wuhan, killing lots of people. They covered all of this up. They stopped domestic travel. Within China, they locked the whole country down. They sealed people in their homes, welded people into their homes, didn't allow people to leave their homes. People couldn't travel, but they allowed people to travel internationally so this virus could spread around the whole world. Unbelievable, unbelievable. And we're supposed to trust this government? You know, they've been very, very good at spreading their propaganda. I'll give them that, you know. They've convinced the whole world that they've handled this pandemic really well and that they've done a great job of containing this virus. But I think it's just a load of garbage, just a load of rubbish. I mean, look at China, look at the CCP. They control all of the media there. All media is state-run, yeah? And a lot of statistics, a lot of stories about the pandemic comes from their state-run media, which is conveniently controlled by the government. Do you think that they're going to tell any negative stories about this virus? And do you think they're going to really tell the truth? Can you trust any of the statistics that come out of China? Well, I think the answer to that is definitely no. You definitely can't trust them, right? They pretty much censor everything. Any bit of dissent or negative criticism of their government, that is censored straight away, which is why they block a lot of Western social media and a lot of Western internet websites and that kind of thing, is because they know they can't control the narrative that way. But they're doing a great job of spreading their narrative across to us and using our social media and using all of our media against us. Do you like watching YouTube videos? I guess you like watching YouTube videos because you're watching me right now, yeah? But if you were under the control of that authoritarian, crazy-ass dictatorship, you wouldn't be able to watch this video because they block YouTube. They block a lot of websites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all blocked, and you can't access them. Now, don't give me that crap about how you can use a VPN to go around all of that, because yeah, that is true, but don't tell me that all Chinese people use VPNs, because they don't. It's just generally all of the government officials and all of the entitled foreigners that are living in China that can use a VPN. And of course the Wu Mao nationalists that constantly plague the internet, you know, spreading their bogus propaganda. So yeah, how on earth can we trust this authoritarian government, and why on earth are people looking up to them? It's absolutely mad. It's insanity. I feel like I'm in some weird episode of The Twilight Zone, or, you know, if we're going to be more up to date, Black Mirror, because that's what it is. That is exactly what is going on right now if people are looking up to the CCP. Crazy. So anyway, my point here is that there is one country that we should be looking up to during this whole thing, and if we're going to use one country as an example, it should be this one. This country is democratic. It has freedom of speech, freedom of internet. People are allowed to criticize the government. People are allowed to talk about whatever they want to. The people here are free. Do you know what country that is? Take a guess. Well, if you said Taiwan, you are correct. Taiwan is the country, the beacon of light, the country that has handled this pandemic much better than the Communist Party of China has. They've done an amazing job. They continue to do an amazing job. And if we're gonna look up to a country out of fear because we're afraid of this pandemic, we should be looking at Taiwan, not CCP China. And that's right, guys. Taiwan is a country, and it's an amazing country, and we need to look up to it, and we need to use this country as an example. So if you really have lost faith in your government and things are looking so bleak that you're willing to look towards a tyrannical, oppressive regime for that quick fix solution, then I'm sorry, I really don't know what to say to you. Because if you live in a democracy, you should know that if things are looking bad, you can change those things. You have a voice. But if you're living in China, if you're living under the CCP, you don't have a voice and you can't change anything. And even if things are looking good for now, they're not always going to be like that. And eventually something's going to happen where you want to talk about it and you won't be allowed to, and you might be disappeared. And this is the reality of living under an oppressive, authoritarian, tyrannical regime like the CCP. And that is definitely something that you don't want to be looking up to.
Thanks for watching today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one.